Hi, everybody. I'm Paul Liesenberg with Aaryaka, and I understand I'm the last thing that stands between you and a couple of drinks outside. So I'll make this short and brief and sweet. I'm not trying to cram all the information about Aaryaka in just 10 minutes. And I'll make this interesting because I'll go live and I'll give you a live demonstration, with, of course, sometimes involves some risk as well, which I'm willing to take. In case you don't know about Aaryaka, as you embark on a WAN transformation journey, you have fundamentally two choices at the top. The first one is if you have a team of CCIEs or network engineers, network architects, then you go, let them plan for it, you let them configure complex policies, you let them go and install the stuff, and then you let them go and operate it going forward. So it means that going forward, they'll still spend like between 60 to 70% of their time troubleshooting as well. The other option is you go for a managed service. And I know you'll tell yourself, oh, there are many managed service providers out there, but I'll tell you a little bit why the Aaryaka solution is different. Because it was, from the very conceptual stage, it was designed to actually go and optimally address the challenges of SD-WAN as a service. You'll have two major touch points to the Aaryaka infrastructure as a customer. The first one is in the branch. Like everybody else, we have like a CPE device. It's a white box. It runs Linux. It has virtualization and containerization capabilities, so you can run pretty much every application that you want to on top of that going forward. The other very important touch point that you'll have to the Aaryaka platform is at top, orchestration, visibility, and control. Many customers, when they embark on their SD-WAN journeys, they're afterwards surprised that they don't get enough visibility, because now you have a virtual overlay, you have a physical underlay, and the tool that you get from the SD-WAN vendor for the overlay doesn't actually totally give you visibility into the underlay. So you will need different tools to go and reconcile the behavior of the two planes. And that's the reason why SD-WAN is such a good and fertile playground for the network performance monitoring companies that you see out here. A big difference with Aaryaka is there in the middle. We have a global core network that we've built on top of gigabit Ethernet technologies, 1, 10, and with that, we have total control end-to-end globally for SLAs. If you've built an MPLS network, you know that MPLS within a single service provider's domain will give you very predictable, very deterministic behavior. But as soon as you have, let's say, AT&T in the US, British Telecom in the UK, and China Telecom in China, then they don't always respect inter-domain SLA agreements. We don't have that issue because we own our own infrastructure all over the planet. On top of that, we have orchestration. We're able to provision branches and an entire network of up to 100 sites within 24 to 48 hours. So that's a big advantage about Aaryaka. Another thing we've done from the get-go is optimize the network for cloud and for cloud deployments in general. Another challenge with SD-WAN as well is that once you build infrastructure, often you discover after the fact that your WAN applications are not optimally supported by the topology. Maybe you just decide to send like SAS traffic out of every branch directly into the internet, and the DNS lookup doesn't give you the best possible route, or there are other issues. We have several peering points with cloud providers, be it AWS, Azure, also with SaaS providers, Office 365, and Salesforce, and also UCaaS as well, 8x8 and RingCentral and others, that allow us to optimize cloud behavior in every region, because we have those direct touch points. And as we provision the network infrastructure, cloud application behavior is automatically supported and optimized as well. What I'll do now is I'll switch over to our customer portal to give you a view into the Aaryaka experience that you would have as a customer, because I think that makes a point very effectively. And this is live. So, with a little bit of luck, it is refreshing in the background all around, but I hope it doesn't refresh too much, because in some cases, network behavior is a bit slow here. Most customers will spend most of their time looking at this, basically, seeing how is my network behaving. You see all your sites. If anything goes majorly wrong, you'll see something pop up in red as well. You see the connectivity in this case between San Francisco to all of your other global sites. There's a real customer network with 150 global sites that we have here. It also will tell you how our application optimization algorithms are kicking in and optimizing traffic in 132 offices. Because we have internal TCP proxies in our infrastructure, we're able to optimize connection setup and performance of TCP-based applications very effectively. And we have a couple of tricks up the sleeve for UDP as well. And finally, you see what your top app of the day is. It's great. It's Office 365. Your people are being productive. So far, so good, right? This is another way to look at your topology. It's more boring. It's not as visually appealing, but it tells you any site, anywhere, what its utilization is, are the links up and down, do you have packet loss happening or latency. What I like to do, to give examples here, is I like to look at latency and I like to look at places that have bad behavior, and that's how I pick the site that you will see in the following screens as well, because there's like a slide, pardon me, there's a site in Brazil that's a bit further down that we can analyze a bit further. Well, there's another useful way to look at your network, site per site. You simply go and take a look at all the applications that are active and which one your top app is. Not surprisingly, you see it's Office 365 that's there ranking towards the top as well in the Albertsville office here in the US. So we have many ways to slice and dice visibility into your network. As I mentioned, total end-to-end visibility into network and application behavior is one of our major advantages. Here I'm looking at the breakout into the cloud, because if I did the same thing that I did previously, look at different applications at a peering point into Office 365 SaaS in this case, I would only see one application. So it's far more useful to actually take a look at how am I trending towards this subscribed bandwidth that I defined for the site. And I see I'm doing quite well. In fact, I probably reduced my subscribed bandwidth to 60 megabits per second and not experience much of a problem here. This one is interesting because if I go to that site that I mentioned in Sao Paulo, Amparo, what I see is that I have a subscribed bandwidth. And for us, subscribed bandwidth to the Aaryaka core network means it's 100% always guaranteed, like I said before. Nothing bad will happen to that traffic ever. But in this case, I'm actually peaking out of there, and I reach 40 megabits per second, so I'm hoping to get lucky. And further on, we will analyze whether this is a problem in the network or not, which we can do in a very straightforward way. So again, keep this in mind, that I'm in a site here where I see like, wow, I'm exceeding my subscribed bandwidth, which means that this extra bandwidth is not necessarily guaranteed. I can also break it down by, take a look. This is one of the possible causes. If I take a look here, I see that I'm only using one of the tunnels that I have configured, the primary tunnel. I'm not sure why I'm not using the secondary tunnel. Somebody has configured this in a pretty hokey way. So again, this is a network that's totally foreign to me, and just by walking through these different screens, I see where the problem is very easily. And then here you see also that maybe I'm not using internet breakout enough. Maybe there's some applications I could actually use here to actually push this green out, push the green up, and maybe bring the blue down a little bit so that I get more balance in here. And this is the one that I'm particularly interested in, because here I can see, let me see how the QoS is behaving, and let me see if I have packet drops. And if I go down here, the received drops, the best thing I can do is like, let me eliminate the colors here to actually go and analyze more. Because best effort, I really don't care if I drop best effort, right? It's not that important. Total is not that visible, but I see that I'm actually dropping productivity applications. And that's not good. As a network manager and architect, that actually piques my interest. So I want to actually go and change some configuration aspect to see how I can get rid of this behavior. Often people think like, if I have a managed service, then I don't have a lot of control over it. There's not a lot that we can configure, because that's the way that traditionally managed service providers do it. They do it everything for you, and you just get a report at the end of the month, and it's like, this is what happened. With us, you get like a real configuration portal. So you can actually go there as a network administrator and change anything you want. It's dangerous, but if you know what you're doing, it works. So I saw that on that Amparo site in Sao Paulo. I have a subscribed bandwidth of 20 megabit per second. This is a real customer, so I cannot go in there and change it, but I could. And then probably the problem could disappear quite easily. So you can configure a lot of stuff with architecture and have total control over your infrastructure, and it gets implemented like this. and you can see the change if it actually solves a problem or not. Finally, what I could do as well is change this, the QS configuration screen, because what I see here, and this I find also a little bit suspect, is the fact that I reserve 20 megabit per second for real-time, for mission critical, for productivity I reserve 40, which you don't have. So some misconfiguration obviously has happened here, so I could go and change it here as well. The key to me is the fact that you get very quick visibility into a problem, and you get the tools to change it right away over your entire infrastructure as well. And I think that's the Aaryaka solution. Two easy thoughts: total control over SLAs, total visibility, I guess it's three easy thoughts, and finally cloud friendliness as well for cloud deployments. Just want to leave that with you, and enjoy your evening and a couple of drinks.